you know, sewer doesn't impact drainage. It has water requirements, that's it. And it generates a lot of public funded money through taxes. We did an investment in that community, so I think that's where we're gonna start yielding a result. It's not gonna be immediate, but I can tell you right now, there's homes going up there quickly because word has gotten out, roads are being repaired. We've been working, trying to get internet out there. We have some pretty good leads with Comcast to get internet out there now. That's spreading like wildfire, and people are starting to catch wind. That's gonna invest in our community to be able to be like, hey, we just gained another, you know, 300,000, 400,000 annually in tax revenue to take on big projects like this. So, I mean, I agree, you hit the nail on the head, we need more revenue, but we're a bedroom community, we're already kind of maxed out on homes that we can build. We do have some areas that are prosperous that people want to move into, and we've invested in it. I say, you know, we're doing a great thing by watching it grow, so.
You chip a little bit at a time, and do the best that you can.
How long do you think until we're done with this last set of bonds? So we're halfway through the road, or a little more than halfway through the road construction part. When are you set on being pretty much done with the bonds that we took out before, so we can start looking at the possibility of, because I don't even want to start thinking about it until we can say we finished this one.
Summer of 22.
Okay.
We will have a better snapshot financially at where these projects are going to end up. January, February,
Okay.
somewhere around in there. We're closing these projects down to where we're getting. Like I said, I was always apprehensive about giving you that number because as you see the change orders are just, we're just running into things now, and then of course materials went up, then they came down, then labor's up, labor's down. To start looking at that kind of end piece, which will predicate a lot of what we're going to do after that.
Right.
You know, do we take a $1 million chunk, or do we take a $5 million chunk? You will see a lot better where we're at that time. If we can keep refraining from going after low-hanging fruit and kind of worry about the big basket, we'll be okay.
I'm just wondering, you know, once we get those streets that were on the initial list complete, then we can go back and look at the ones that have deteriorated since and say, okay, well, these are the ones that have to be on the next, you know, and then it makes it easier for everyone to kind of climb on board when we know what our goal is for the next set. And because a big chunk like $25 million is like, oh my gosh. But if we know what we're doing it for and where we're headed, it makes it a little easier to.
How long are we on the books for these bonds? 25 or 50?
I think it's 25. I think it's 25 years.
I don't want to say
I
that.
can't remember off the top.
We have some that will start being paid off in a few years. But the current ones, we still have a lot.
Yeah.
That our payments are going to dip in a few years. I want to say in 25, 26 dip.
That's what I was thinking. Don't we have a couple that are falling off soon?
Soon, yeah, like the 2004 bond.
Annual financial, yeah.
2004s, I believe.
But even this bond here, it goes down, right? The cost of it goes down in time.
Which bond?
The $9 million we have out now.
I mean, the interest payments go down, the principal payments go. I mean, we'll maintain basically the same payment, but it's more going to it. Yeah. But we do have some 2004 bonds that
come off.
I think they're 25s, so they'll go off.
Wrap it up. This may be
okay.
his next.
Yeah, that's something.
Sorry,
I'd like to go over a little longer
Yeah.
than I wanted to. I had an internet issue, distracted me.
Okay. Let's move on then. Discussion regarding drainage project design adjustments with capital improvement projects.
You want your slides?
You're very talkative tonight, Cliff.
It's always you, sorry.
He always hogs the spot.
He's our city fixer.
We don't give
Always
him
the
enough
one that
attention
spends
in
the
the
most money.
After
office.
November, I'm not having anything.
Yeah, he said he's done after this.
Okay.
Okay, guess just give me that one slide there.
This one?
Bear with me, I'm gonna try to walk you guys through this. So essentially, the design, I met with Garrett Eagerkey, with Strand Associates, and the initial design of the drainage improvements projects, I think we've all discussed, we understand there's gonna be trickle channels throughout the main outfall ditches, on both outfall ditches all the way, concrete channels in the bottom. We ran into an issue, and if you see the yellow right there, my cheesy highlight there.
This one or this one?
What Strand had originally proposed, this is my concept. What they had originally proposed was to concrete the opposite side of the ditch, which would be the south slope of the east ditch. In doing that, along there we have a center point easement and power poles. So they were going to concrete that. They would have to, because the power poles were there, and to maintain a 3-to-1 slope, so we could maintain with motors anything we needed to maintain. In doing that, they had to design that offset around the power poles, because to maintain those slopes, they would have had to dig really into those poles and remove a couple of feet of soil, which you can't do. Center Point says, I think 6 inches is the most you can remove. So how they corrected that is they laid the slope down between the poles and offset the concrete around the poles. And I asked Garrett Engelke, I said, well, what if we do this? We're concreting one side of the ditch already. What if we throw the concrete to the north slope of the ditch, stand that slope up, make it less, like a 2-to-1. That way we still keep an grass bottom on the south side, can easily maintain the 3-to-1 because we're steepening the north side, and it's far easier to maintain anyway. The 2 red X's are just kind of a choke point illustration where it's very difficult to get tractors in there. At some point in time, we're going to take out fences. Something's going to happen. It's just not conducive to a large mower. And the 3-to-1 slope is really too steep for a 0-turn. So in concreting that north slope, we essentially eliminate that problem. But I developed another one. If I concrete one side, you have a benefit. For years and years, the city of Richwood is guilty for knocking down fences and ditches, tearing up fences, and this, that, and the other, depletion of soil. There's a few reasons for that. It's really not really the ditch. But if we put concrete there, essentially we stabilize all that soil for that row of houses, never to really be worried about again. Another fence shouldn't fall. No such a problem should persist. But if you do it for one side and you don't do it for the other, you run into a problem such as the driveways. I want to express to the council the reason I had this idea was merely to protect the slopes, or make sure that we have slopes that we can maintain, and ensure we have a quality base flow line so water will flow. It's not to stabilize people's property or anything like that.
Well, question, I mean, if you do the north side, the south side is Polk and who else? I don't.
Polk and Park.
And
Polk
us.
and Ellis Park?
Yeah, I mean, are people gonna be complaining about that? I don't understand.
No, he means the other side of the other side of Audubon Woods
South side of
Drive.
Audubon Woods Drive.
He's
Yeah.
meaning this right here,
Oh,
Mike.
he's talking about-
Yeah,
okay.
if you
This
go-
this ditch.
Sorry about that. Yeah, if you go east of Audubon Woods Drive.
Cliff,
south.
so what, you're saying on the north slope will slope down and the concrete will be bottom, but the south side will not be concrete?
Correct.
We are gonna have that concrete bottom though.
Correct.
That's important.
But with concrete in the north slope, we get to stand that slope steeper.
Yeah.
We get to make it steeper, so we can maintain our 3-to-1 on the other side with confidence.
Yeah.
And that side is far easier to maintain.
So, help me understand, water's gonna be coming north to south down that ditch, right, to that furthest X on the left-hand
Should
side.
be
and then
running
coming
east
in-
to west.
Coming into it, right?
It'll be flowing east to west and south to north.
So the ditch
West
that
to east.
is at the top of the picture, right, running perpendicular to your yellow line, that feeds into this ditch, correct?
No,
Other way.
Other
This
way
way?
Other
around.
way.
That ditch feeds into.
It goes from right to left and back to the north.
Mhm.
Yes. So, and just to get it out of the way, the two little goofy, that I just asked them to concrete those radiuses because we can't effectively mow. There's infrastructure there, retention pond stuff coming out. To be able to make that turn smooth means I can mow it far more effectively.
Would the earthen slope side to a concrete bottom not cause erosion in that joint?
No, it's still gonna cause erosion because you have a 12-foot slope.
Yeah,
So you're still gonna get water run over that.
Yeah.
It's gonna deplete over time. Of course, heavy equipment on it doesn't help it, but it's all we can do, especially if it's under the influence of water. If it's moist and we're trying to mow it, which heaven forbid if we don't mow it, it's a problem.
Well, let me ask you this, don't you have a flail mower that goes with that mini
Yeah,
excavator?
but it's 3 feet long, goes on a mini excavator. I got 10 feet worth of
Well-
reach, and I've got miles of outfall ditches.
No, I'm just saying for this particular area,
Not
I think it would work pretty good as far as,
to mow that slope of the ditch,
yeah.
The south side or the north side?
the north side.
No, you can't reach, or you can't run up the north side, can you? Okay,
You could do it with the south side.
yeah.
So, what I'm getting to with the design change, I think we benefit ourselves. I did have, I think I included it, the cost opinions. So, overall for the way it sits now, we have a construction bid total of $1,332,500. That's not inclusive of engineering. You guys have already approved that in the amount of $193,000. That being said, we're about $1,525,000 as it sits right here. Now, I understand it's over budget for anybody panics, you know. Strand's cost opinions have purely come in middle of the road. I don't think that that's going to be the case here, and even if it was, I have money in drainage, maintenance, and repair to cover that. But if we were to concrete both sides, the $1,377,800 is what that would be, plus the $193,000 that's already been approved. And I want council to keep in mind that we can always present the concreting of that slope on the east side of Audubon Woods Drive as a bid alternate to see what the base bid comes out as and what the alternate bid with that included comes out as. I think the one thing I wanted from you guys tonight is to try to understand where I was coming from when I asked Strand to change the design. But also understand that, you know, I'm not trying to single out anybody, but when we do this, we're going to get lashback if it's approved with one and not the other.
So do we have intentions to do the other side?
Well, that's why I'm here tonight. I think, in my opinion, I think we should include them both and list the east side of Audubon Woods Drive, north slope of that ditch as a bid alternate. And if we get lucky and come in under budget, I can present that to council in that manner. The base
But
bid.
these are for full concrete ditches, right? Both slopes?
No, sir.
Bottom and
Just the top of one, right? The
Yes,
north
sir.
side by the homes
Yeah, slope
And
of
the
one and
base.
the base.
and the base.
Yes, sir.
Concrete,
That's correct.
Well, my recollection is,
flat.
because I walk that trail a lot,
on
side.
the
So
the
there
east side
won't
is
be
not
as much
near as steep
erosion
as the
Because
west
it's
side.
gradual.
Yeah, he's talking
No,
about
it's-
if we
The
could
front
go
polk
with
is,
both
I
of
think
them.
it's.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, sir. That's correct.
I know
It's
that
not
one.
as steep.
I looked at that,
But
or
we
So
would-
can you run tractors on the east side now as
see
it
if you
is?
could run, see if you could,
But
So
it's-
you just be doing
put
it
the
to
concrete down the
appease?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Mike. I guess,
Maybe
you know, if you
some
see the red X
yeah.
there, if you were to jump the street, you know, we have that same pinch
some
point
kind
there.
of rock.
But with
To
these
keep it from-
radiuses
Right.
concreted,
Support
those
it,
little,
Yeah, but
what did you see there, I'm
I
sorry?
remember.
Yeah.
We can go in and make a continuous path once all the way out. And if we have to make another pass, drive through the service center and do it again.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ditch, we don't have that option. We gotta go in
Right,
tight,
right.
we gotta come out tight.
Between the two red X's, you're tight.
Yeah, that's the problem, getting there. So it's,
So you're just wanting to do the other side, you said, to make the other side happy, to make the east side, the people are gonna bring it up that they didn't get their side done.
well, it adds the same benefit on the east side as the west
I
side.
get that.
We can still stand the slope up and would have much more leniency on the south slope.
Let me put it this way, is it a want or a need?
It's a one.
Okay.
Well, I think both of these are,
I think the other side's more of a need because they can't get the equipment up there.
And that keeps it from digging out.
And that's great.
you haven't taken out a fence yet, have you?
Not yet.
No, so
Yeah.
it's not really a need, it's a want.
Yeah, both of these are wants, but, if we can do this, this would eliminate Richwood from having to maintain this slope at least for as long as the concrete lasts.
You're talking about just adding it as an option?
Well, the design would be one way or the other. It would be Strand's way or my way, but to add both concrete sections of that north slope, the east side of Audubon Woods could be added as a building.
Maybe this is
It's
a
already-
silly question, but what is the height of the north side that you're projecting? How tall is that ditch?
It's roughly 12 feet.
So if you were to take it by half and have 6 on this side and 6 on the other side, wouldn't that stabilize the ground, and then you could grade it over there and you can drive your zero turn right there behind people's fences, and then you have a fully concreted ditch instead of just 2 sides?
I'm sorry, I guess I'm not understanding the math.
If you had
He's
that,
saying
you
doing
wouldn't have to drive
a
back there.
U
Yeah, instead of
instead of,
a nail.
yeah.
We still have complications in getting in and out.
No, what I'm saying is if you do 6 feet and then you grade it up there, right, it's gonna be stabilized now by having 6 feet of concrete, and then you could take your zero turn over there,
Yeah, it's.
right? And then you don't have to take the tractor, you can just run it with the zero turn and call it good.
Yes, it
And
would
then you
be-
get a fully did.
It would be easier to do that when these properties were, when all the properties that you see along the,
And then you don't have to worry about the power poles either, because now you aren't coming up 12 feet, so you aren't coming to those. and Everything will be stabilized.
well, when these properties were approved, roughly a quarter of those properties to the back fall to the ditch. So we're always, it's not supposed to, it's supposed to go to the street. That's why we see soil depletion constantly. That won't do anything for that. So, I mean, the slopes are gonna deplete regardless. I can't repair that unless I concrete. A quarter of the backyards are flowing that way. It's gonna continue to wash soil out. I mean,
Okay, but you just said that they'd be stabilized with 12 feet of concrete, they're not gonna be stabilized with 6 feet of concrete?
no. Because there's
So
gonna
what
be a,
is,
there's
what
gonna
is
be,
what is the threshold there?
there's gonna be a lip at the top that's gonna stop that. It's gonna go all the way to the top of the ditch and have a 12-inch lip. It's not gonna allow water to continuously flow over regular ground and deplete. It's not gonna do that anymore.
Okay, so we're talking about having a 12-inch lip there, and where's that water gonna go? If it's gonna pool in their backyard?
It's gonna go over concrete, but it's not gonna go over dirt. It's not gonna deplete ditch slopes away constantly. And to correct that, you'd have to have everybody elevate their backyards.
To regrade to push it back out to the
Uh-huh.
street.
That's correct. It
Right.
should have been, but it should have been, yes.
So we're talking about just doing that north side, and it'll benefit the people that are not draining properly and stabilizing their fences, like you had mentioned, and then the other side of the street, they're not gonna have the same benefit.
Just doing that north side allows me to stand that slope up, to maintain a 3-to-1 and protect the base flow line. That's what it allows me to do. They get an added benefit because of it, yes. But I'm not installing concrete to stabilize people's property. I'm just bringing it to you guys that adjusting it, I'm creating a situation.
You are, right? Because you're saying that at 12 feet it does. What is the threshold for stabilizing the ground right there? What would be the threshold? Would it be 8 feet, 10 feet, or is it 12 feet?
We need to take it all the way up to the top, the 12.
So why do you have to take it all the way up to the top? Why couldn't you go in the middle and then regrade, and then it just flows over the same lip that is up there? Because it's gonna be flowing anyways.
Well, I guess we can. We stand whatever we do on that side, we stand it up. We lessen the slope to be able to keep the other slope on the other side. So you have a,
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
will.
it's still gonna be dropping in the same way. I guess I'm having a hard time seeing it in my mind. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
But if I don't, the natural drainage, the way the backyards are graded, it's gonna
Does,
continue.
does Strand have a suggestion on this either way?
They did, they gave it to me, but their concern was to maintain the slopes the way basically I wanted them. They got me the slightest slope they could on every ditch. And to do that, they were trying to keep it even. And in doing that, they proposed concrete on the south side of the ditch instead of the north side.
So now
So,
we're going away from what the engineers are recommending.
we're not. I'm bringing it to council to get direction on that.
Yes, sir.
This, I believe this adds benefit for the ditch now and for years to come, especially regarding maintenance, integrity of the slopes, especially the 3-to-1s that we want to maintain and can effectively mow. But the downside is, the
I don't-
downside is one.
Okay,
At least some.
yeah.
No skateboarding.
At least some.
Skimboarding.
But some of them are gonna be curved anyway, because we don't have, to protect the slopes, we can't do the gradual. It's gonna be a square curve to be able to maintain the 3-to-1 slopes and some of those, so not much skateboarding is going on.
So you have 3-to-1 slopes currently there, or not 3-to-1 slope there?
Yes, we have 3-to-1 slopes there.
Okay. Any other questions?
If not, we need some direction.
I don't like going away from the engineer's recommendation. I mean, that's how we get into problems. We pay these people thousands of dollars to look at something and engineer it, and then we're suggesting to do the opposite of what they're suggesting. I'm not really comfortable with that.
What would be the financial ramifications of having them look at engineering both sides of it?
They already,
They already did
they
that, so
provide the cost opinions, yeah.
that's their cost opinion, so they've already looked at it both ways. You got the south side and then both sides.
Yeah, we're looking at $193,000 in engineering, I'm sure there
Okay.
will be a small increase to that.
So it's not necessarily going away from that, it's just using the second option that they threw in there, or the addition of the north side, correct?
Yes, yes.
I thought you said the recommendation was to do the south side of the ditch, but
That's how they designed it. They were pleased with seemed pleased with my idea, because it opened up the possibility for protecting the south slope and maintaining a 3-to-1 grade if we can stand that north slope up and make it steeper. Because we're already concreting one side anyway, basically. If we switch sides, it's easier to maintain what we need to maintain now into decades down the road.
And what would their recommendation be? Do both sides or do the one side?
Their recommendation is to stay within budget.
Well, I know that, but
And yeah, I mean,
I don't know, Cliff, I'm just struggling because
Yeah.
I guess I asked the question of what are they graded at now? If they're 3-to-1 on both sides, then it's a wash either side that you do. They originally recommended you do the south side, and then you suggested that they do the north side. I guess I just don't really see the difference between doing the south side and the north side, other than you're saying that the 12 feet has to be done and you're gonna impact the power poles, which, I mean, Strand is an engineering firm, they should already know that those are there if they're looking at it, and if they can do it.
yeah, they can.
They feel like they can do it, right? And
Yeah, they can accommodate, and they did accommodate, they did accommodate the power poles. And I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just the benefit I see for the north side. I think Strand saw it my way as well. And, I could definitely ask them, point blank. I got an impression that, to switch these sides would be a benefit to everybody, especially with future maintenance. Not just mowing maintenance, but if we have to excavate or, dig or remold the,
switch them or do both?
yeah.
Do both sides?
No. If we have to remold the south side slope, it would be much easier to do that with not a lot of concrete there, because they are accommodating for those poles. The concrete is laid flatter, so it gets to the poles and it offsets. Something's got to be done around those poles as well. We're moving all those issues to the other side of the ditch, so we don't have to contend with any of that.
And this is all funded through our bond money, correct? This
Yes.
drainage?
That's correct.
I would just, my 2 cents is if we do decide to proceed and deviate from the original plan, voters voted on a presentation of proposed drawings and engineering estimates, and if we deviate from it, I think it was just in the city's best interest, we notify them beforehand that we're changing it. We saw that with the roads, and that turned into a big, passionate fiasco. So I would just suggest if we do deviate from it, from the original plans that were presented during a bond election, we let our citizens know that, hey, this is the engineering reason why we're doing it, so that they don't feel like, hey, well, I voted for this and it was going to be in my backyard and now it's not. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
And I like the idea of a bid alternate, it can't hurt to see how much it would cost to do both.
I'd also like to understand a little bit better why we can't do a U and not go 12 feet up. Why we couldn't grade that out and still achieve the same thing. I'm not a licensed engineer, but it just doesn't add up to me.
Maybe Strand can put something together to kind of give us an idea on the reason.
I think it'd probably be best. I gave him my best crack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd probably be best. Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, capital improvement projects update. You again?
So it's just one of the more exciting ones. The DR should start here within next week or two. All that's done. So the DR is the pipe bursting projects. They're going to start on Cypress to get in there and get out of the way. So they can continue the road project. As you heard from Morgan tonight, the well's coming to an end. And, council needs to know, I'm sure you already know, we were delayed heavily on the well for weather. I do want to inform you, based on the talks we had with the ground storage tank contractor, we were initially hoping spring. It's looking more like summer of '22 before the plant goes online at this point. And it's nothing we can control. It's just weather, plant location. We're having to cross just an area that's muddy, and they're doing the best they can as fast as they can. The sidewalks, I think Eric might have something of that in his report, but the bridge is finally, the main portion of the bridge over the ditch is, I believe, is mounted. They just have to connect to the sidewalks, and hopefully they'll be done here pretty quick and out of the way. Streets are going, they're going good, as long as we keep the rain out of the way. We changed the direction on more. I'm sure y'all got the public notice. I've torn up pretty bad over that one. So we decided to try to keep it in natural flow of traffic, and thought that would just ultimately be best. We did notify the school and took every precaution we could to make sure everybody understood what's going on. We still are on time for the streets project. We're thinking somewhere December 1st of January to be done. Other than that, the booster pump station is going to be coming to you guys. I think it's already going out to bid. We should know more about that within the bid opening within the next couple of weeks. That should be coming to you next council meeting. And we're trying to get the drainage project out to bid and awarded before Christmas. We'll see what we can do. So hopefully that's coming to you guys soon as well. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
Well, number 5, Cliff, I got it on my report. Can you just kind of give them a brief update on that?
Yeah, well, number 5. So during the power outages, we took some damage to some infrastructure. One not so bad, lift station 2, power surge. We damaged a starter relay on one side, which they're fixing up. We did the same thing on well number 5, which is the only well we have in operating in the automatic mode. And had no reason to believe anything else until we got the starter relay fixed and put power to it. Nothing happened. So the electrician tested everything underground. He megged that motor, and nothing. And we believe it's a lightning strike. Electrician and the well people told me that that was a lightning strike. We burned up the motor as well. So when we do this, you go in and you pull a well like this. You're pulling your inline pumps, your motor, your piping, you're checking your screens. When you go in this in depth, you want to do it all. Make sure you don't miss anything. The piping is 10, 11 years old. It is becoming pitted. It's one of the reasons why we had to tear apart the south water plant, because it started harboring total coliform in those pits and that piping. It can happen. And also the screen, I've seen the video. The screen is getting caked up with just minerals, just natural product of the groundwater. So it needs an acid treatment to keep our production up. We need to acid treat that screen, disinfect the well. So it would be nice to say it would just be pump and motor, but it really needs to be pump, motor, piping, and screen treatment. Otherwise, I think we're going to turn around and have to do this another 3 years from now, especially when we start losing serious productivity on the well. So it's not kind. I think it's going to be about 43,000.
Yeah.
We'll bring that as a budget amendment for FY22.
Anything else? Oh.
Oh, I had a question. When will we know about whether or not we can do a county the next 2 miles for that? Is that coming up? I couldn't remember when we usually sign
I have
or look
the
into that.
documentation in my office now. I've got to fully assemble everything and just share it with Derek, and then we're going to send it in. As I told council, I'm going to assemble it with Oakwood Shores on there and submit that.
And we'll get with Commissioner Payne
Yeah.
and
I will send an attachment.
try to get that same thing we did.
Requested that. We're gonna try. So, but ultimately, of course, we can't proceed on that till we're done with this.
So we know that, yeah.
Council at that time.
But they can kind of give you a quote on what it would be, so we'll know what.
We can still effectively go with $285,000 a mile. It's $10,000 more than what it was when we finished the last round. So we can still go on that price, I think.
And we're going to Commissioner Payne with hopes for 2 miles of complete reconstruction.
More,
2.5,
about 2.5, 2 and 3 quarters.
2 and 3. Yeah, I was gonna say a little more to finish it up.
Just over 4 out there, but I don't have any exact numbers.
Thank you, just wanted to put that one out there, just that we were looking at it, we're thinking about it, it's on the radar. Thank you,
It's there.
thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? Thanks, Cliff.
Thanks, Cliff.
Okay.
You need a cough drop now, don't you?
Yes.
It's a little dry.
City manager's report.
Mayor Council, pretty much everything is covered. I'm pleased to report the walking bridge is in. We're about to finish that up. Sewer rehab project on Magnolia is done. Sod is in. Everything looks great over there. We greatly appreciate that. That's a good permanent fix. Cliff covered the well number 5, which we'll be bringing to you next meeting. Debris removal is moving along at a good pace, we believe. I sent you the email today with some of that information and included the cost where we are exactly as of Sunday of this week or last week. So we're right on target with that so far. And the only other additional thing I have is we purchased new laptops for council. We had a little bit of leftover money, about what, $3,600? $3,600 for laptops for council. I know you're going to be sad to see the notepads go, but it's time to let them go. Well, y'all deserve an upgrade, so we're giving you an upgrade.
We have notepads?
Yeah.
Got a raise.
The town.
Yeah, you got a pay raise.
They're
Or a
not easy to
bonus.
work. They're not, yes.
We had a catastrophic failure of our firewall this past week that caused a considerable amount of trouble. They're working through that, but we're up and running on our net, so that's all that matters. And I was out last week due to a family emergency. I appreciate the well wishes, and everything's worked out on the surgery, and we're on the road to recovery. So,
Yeah.
thank you much. That's all I've got.
Okay, council members, any reports, comments?
Appreciate you, Cliff. It was a rough night tonight.
Yeah.
For real though, I mean, I know it's a lot of work and not always getting, the bang for the buck and seizing the opportunities, but I appreciate it. And the rest of the staff as well. We're trucking along well.
You see how broad his shoulders are? I mean, that guy takes on a lot around here.
Keep talking, he'll have to have those.
My only worry though, Mark, is he's starting to arch over in the back a little bit.
Well, that means he needs some more support, man.
Coming with POs here, council? How are you?
No, I'd also like to echo that. Thank you, Cliff. I know that you take on the rest of the staff. I'd also like to thank council for the consideration on the KRB stuff. And I'm looking forward to having our community get to have some events and looking forward to that. And so just thank y'all for that.
Anything? All right. Well, I'll move on then to the mayor's report. I got a couple of things. Number one, I wasn't here at the last council meeting. I apologize, but these trees and pollen and stuff are killing me. It's just about as bad tonight. One of the things I'd like to say is I'd like to thank the fire department and a lot of citizens for the excellent job that they did during the storm, getting out, breaking out the chainsaws, and cutting up a bunch of trees. And from what I understand, as soon as the fire department would show up, a bunch of citizens would show up too. So we've got some good, a lot of good citizens here. I've known it for years, and I appreciate it a lot as a citizen. I appreciate it a lot as the mayor. Our fire department's always been there to help us anytime we needed them during the storms. Same thing with the police department. They were out checking things out on the street, and they kept us apprised of anything that was dropped or anything that fell on the street, and we had definitely good reports. So I know here it was kind of quiet, but it wasn't. We had a lot of things going on, but the fact that the staff was here to assist was very good. The other thing on the storm, I would really like to say thanks to all the citizens too for their patience when it came to the electricity. We were out. We luckily we didn't have near as much downtime as we did in back in Ike, but this time we still had some major outages, and CenterPoint came in and did an awesome job knocking that out. I think the hardest thing to try to explain to folks is just because they may not be in your city doesn't necessarily mean that they're not working on your problem, because there's a lot of things that have to be tied up across the tracks before we can even get that and up toward Clue. But I thought they did a real good job based on the amount of time that it took, and I did try to stop by every day and catch them as they were either getting ready to go out, shake some hands and talk to them, and give my appreciation. And I did see different crews every day too. I really would like to have gotten with that guy that had the boat. He had an awesome boat. Could have done some great fishing in Orchard Creek. But anyway, secondly, I had the privilege and opportunity to bring some Cub Scouts up here last week. They were wanting to know about city councils, what the mayor did, what the city council members did, kind of how the city runs. So I put together a little slide presentation. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it. That was the same day that Facebook was down, so I couldn't grab a bunch off the city's Facebook site. And so I found some that was on the net and put it together. And it's kind of interesting trying to sit down and explain that to 10-year-olds. But one of the requests that they wanted to see, or one of them wanted to see, was the sewer line being repaired. So I told them that I could probably get Cliff to make that wish come true.
My guys want to see that.
But I did tell them that any time that they wanted to come to the fire department, call me, and I would set it up with the fire department, police department, public works, administrative staff. We spent about an hour and a half, and they were very attentive, and they actually got up here, got to have their pictures taken in our spots. So, and I've got those pictures, so I got to get them out. As soon as I get them out, I got to get the approvals from the parents. But it was fun, and I enjoyed it immensely. And with that, that's about it. Any future agenda items?
Yes.
Yes.
So, we had some guests here tonight from the
Yes.
Trail, talking about dog barking,
Dog barking.
and there was a lot of this and that and the other thing, but we do have, in our ordinance, we do have kind of a loophole, and here's what the ordinance says. I don't know if you have it or if you want me to just read it, I'll read it. The ordinance is, a nuisance animal is one in which one molests or attacks people, attacks other animals, is repeatedly at large, damages private or public property. Item 5, barks, whines, or howls excessively. And 6, creates an offensive odor. So 5, barks, whines, or howls excessively is very subjective. And my understanding is that if there is a call to somebody's house because of that, repeated calls, they're going to get a citation whether or not it happened. Is that correct?
We can't really discuss it.
Yeah, we can't talk about it, but
Anyway,
That'll be
yeah.
a future agenda.
so
we
that's
got
my
the-
future agenda item
Okay.
is to review that.
okay.
And we could send out the ordinance that
Yeah.
Mr. Warren alluded to, just so
Right.
everybody's kind of,
Yes, I was actually gonna ask the same thing, is it okay for us to work on that alterations and bring that on the next agenda item?
Yeah.
Is that,
We'll bring it.
helps.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
And also the scouts thing, that's real big. That's, my son just finished up his Eagles. I've been doing a lot of scout stuff for the last 10 years, and it's big on them. It makes a huge impression on them. The more we can support scouts and other organizations like that, the better off the community's going to be.
Now, the last time I talked to 10-year-olds like that was when I was judge here, and I went to talk to my son's class over that, and it was an interesting. The only thing I could come up with was, what does a judge do? Well, he's kind of like the principal.
Iceman.
So, but I tell you, it was great. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing it again.
The only thing I have for future agenda items, it may not be next month, but it may be the next. Legal review has started with Muni Code, with the attorneys reviewing our ordinances. I signed off on that last week. So I'm hoping in the next couple months we'll have some amendments to pass.
And Cliff's budget amendment.
And I think we probably need to set up something to sit down and talk about Eric's contract. It's getting close.
Okay.
I just had a comment on, we're talking about roads, and as we're progressing through our road, and especially after Harvey, we can get kind of a rough estimate on the road conditions, your plan, 10-year plan, so we can start pinpointing roads, that just an overall condition of our roads, especially since.
just a grade?
Yeah, just an overall grade, whether it's driving through them, say, this one's not bad, give it a scale 1 to 5, similar to what we saw on the bond proposal earlier today, but we've had a lot of roads repaired since then. So I would truly like to see like how do we stand as a city with our roads, because I know we have limited funding. When situations come up, kind of like Cypress Street, that we can get a better picture of what that road looks like for its longevity. Just, I know you have a million irons in the fire right now, but that's not obviously a priority, but just something to think about. As we're progressing and fixing these roads, we can get them off the list, but there's obviously depreciation that's happening on roads since then.
We'll get it.
Thanks.
You bet.
Okay. If there's not anything else, it's 8 p.m. Let's call this meeting adjourned.
Would all of you be available to come like 5 minutes early next meeting for your photo? Like, to happen for the budget book?
I'll say yes now, but I'll be really late.
Sure.